Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. We are on the cusp of April earnings. So uh, this week, things get going. Banks are the unofficial uh, kickoff to earnings season, and we have maybe not a absolutely packed week, but definitely a busy week, and it's only going to get busier through like the end of April. So picks up or starts off slow and then really builds fast. Before the open on Monday, Afria, the pricing in 2.25. My rule of thumb is usually if a company's going through a merger, that I tend to avoid it around earnings. I do feel that oftentimes just means the volatility is a little bit lower. So Afria, Tilray, right? Like they have over the past few months been in play a lot, and it definitely could move. But right now, cannabis names are not acting great, and I feel like I should probably just stick to my rule and avoid it. Maybe after I'll mess around with it, but for right now, going into earnings, I'm probably just going to leave it alone. After the close on Monday, nothing before the open on Tuesday. Only one name, and to be honest, I don't think I'll do anything with it. Fastenal. They're pricing about 2.25 because some industrials seem interesting. Fastenal, not really that interesting. Haven't traded in a while, and the setup it just really doesn't look that compelling. I mean, it has occasionally had a bigger move around earnings, but it's not consistent. Um, I haven't really been focusing on it, so I just don't think that it's going to be a trade for me. But sometimes some other names will move off of it. But I feel like there's better industrial setups out there, so probably just leave this one alone. Tuesday after the close, nothing scheduled. Wednesday before the open is when things get going. So, well, first off, Bed Bath & Beyond, just because it's the lone retail name on the day of banks, but they're pricing about 4.5. Stock has been quiet, and it's kind of hard to expect. It's kind of hard to tell what to expect from it now that because a lot of the enthusiasm's died down. Um, the report in January pre-squeeze, so it reported early January, and the stock actually didn't respond great. But then it had that epic run. Um, so at 4.5 points, it's going to have to move a pretty good amount to pay options. So there are some question marks. I do think the setup, if things kind of fall into place, it could be a sizable mover, but definitely anything I would do with this would be more speculative, and I would maybe favor the bull side, but if I can get the risk down on both ends, I feel like a volatility strategy might make a little bit more sense. But this is, it's a lot of question marks, but also one of the names I think next week that could have potential to have like a pretty big move if things fall into place. All right, so J.P. Morgan, they're looking for about 5.25. Goldman Sachs, they're pricing in about 13, and then Wells Fargo about $1.80 or so. So, being just pulling up all three, you can see the charts fairly similar. Um, I say, they're either at their highs or consolidating just underneath their highs. I suppose the biggest issue I have is just earnings themselves, meaning that lately earnings haven't really moved the needle a lot for the big banks. Goldman Sachs, of those three, is usually the more consistent mover, but they actually sold off on strong numbers in January. So, you kind of need to weigh that, right? Like JP Morgan sold off, Wells Fargo sold off, Goldman Sachs sold off on earnings in January. I mean, I do think that the charts look very solid. The biggest question is whether need to take the risk into earnings or can I wait until after earnings and maybe get options at a better price for a swing trade, right? So that's the main question for me. Um, it could be more of a game time decision. I'll see how the week goes, but I mean, last quarter a lot of things weren't really moving enough to reward options, and I might err more on the side of caution as I approach this earnings season, saying like, okay, if I see things really start to move a lot, then I'll get more aggressive. If things aren't moving a lot, then I'm going to be probably more conservative, right? So banks, maybe I'll use it as a barometer, see how the action is. But I do think just in general the charts look pretty good, and if they don't move a whole lot on earnings, then they might set up like a swing trade after. After the bell on Wednesday, nothing of interest. Before the open on Thursday, so Bank of America, which is looking for about $1.50, and Citi, which is pricing in about 3.25. So Bank of America, Citi, they're definitely going to react to J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo. Both of the banks are pretty closely correlated. So I don't know how much is going to be left for them to move when they report the following day. Um, if if they don't have a big reaction off of the J.P. Morgan numbers and the Wells Fargo's numbers, then maybe. But I mean, these stocks tend to move together, so I feel like they're not going to be like too far apart from what happens with like JP and Citi and Wells. Delta, one of like the only actually the only transport next week. Well, the only airline next week through KSU reports on Friday, but they're pricing about 2.25. Airlines have been acting okay. Delta looked like it was about to go and just pulled back. It's been a little bit choppier up here. I again, like this is like one of those groups where I feel like swing trade wise, it's worked a little bit better than earnings trade wise because the moves haven't been that great around earnings the last few quarters. Um, I may just sit this one out and kind of see how the numbers look and see what the stock does. Alternatively, I mean, UAL, and American Airlines don't report next week. So they could really be nice sympathy trades, right? Because Delta's the lone airline and all the other ones don't report next week. So the options should be like lower price. So if you're looking for a sympathy trade, this could set up well for like an AAL or UAL. Taiwan Semi, so about 525 is what's priced in here. Lone big tech report of the week. Semis have been rocking, but this is off its high. They give monthly sales updates, so it's not usually a huge move around earnings. It's kind of similar like a Costco almost. It did pop pretty sharply last quarter though, so that was here. So this big tail bar. So it could, it could still be a mover. And it's off its highs, and the sector's strong, and the numbers are probably going to be pretty solid. So I'm thinking maybe more leaning to the upside on it, something speculative, just to see if we can put together a good report, turn the corner, maybe make back some of that lost ground from February and March. UNH priced in about 11 points. Big healthcare report. For a while, you could set your watch to UNH moving more than the price in straddle on earnings, but lately the pattern's been changing. Moves on earnings haven't paid in the last 3 quarters, so it's kind of tough to lay out the money here. Um, could be a nice, it could be a nice, or it could set up a nice sympathy trade on like Anthem or Cigna though, because they don't report next week. They usually move with UNH, so ANTM or CI. Um, After the close on Thursday, Alcoa about 2.5 points, what they're looking for. Normally wouldn't be interested in this, but metals, they're showing pretty good signs. This is hanging around its high. Option pricing's not too crazy. It got hit really hard on its January report. That was right here. So it got hit real hard. So I guess if I did do anything, it would probably be some sort of volatility strategy, and I would need to get risk down overall, just because I'm not confident it's going to have a move like significantly more than what's priced in. It does seem like it could move, but I also don't know if it's going to be like a a massive mover. So I think if I did do anything, would have to get risk down on both sides. Um, and then on Friday before the open, Morgan Stanley. So they're pricing in 3.5 points. At this point, though, next week, I mean, basically all the other big banks are going to have reported. So um, it's hard to really know where Morgan Stanley is going to be trading at come Friday, and b what's left for it to move on its own numbers. I will say though that it's been a leader even before like the banks really started to act well. So um, I feel like this one also does have like a history of some big moves. So maybe if it's like maybe if the week is choppy and the banks haven't really moved a whole lot, and Morgan Stanley's hanging around in this lower range, maybe I'll take a look. But if it's had a big move come Friday, I'll probably just end up leaving it alone. And then KSU is getting bought out, so don't trade on that. And that's it. That's a wrap. So banks, a couple one-off names here and there. Earnings season gets started, and we'll see how things go. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading earnings with options or strangles, straddles, all those those interesting strategies, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options in play. Hope you have a wonderful night. Stay well, and I will talk to you all on Monday.